Somebody call a doctor!
All right. Or should I say injury. Holy crap, there are so many injuries out there.
Yeah.
Answers by guess, people.
You know what I think the problem is? I think it's the shortened preseason. Nobody plays in any games. Nobody practices in full. Nobody takes part in training camp. And it's like these guys' bodies, they're an Adonis, but they can't hold up. I mean, it's not everybody, so maybe that's not it. But
I just felt like I was looking up so many names and trying to figure out kind of maneuvering because I got Kamara here. I know you have Pittman. It's just so many.
Give me 1 second. Talk to them. I'll be right back.
All right, but he wants me to talk to you guys. I'm going to sing to you guys, actually, because I have this song in my head that I just can't get out of my head. It's that little kid that's eating corn. It's corn, a big lump of knives. He's got the juice. All right. Remember, guys, always like us, Facebook, YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, and Patreon. All right. And always look for our hashtags, Answers by Guests, and the new one, ABGFF. Let's see what's up there. Tim, how's it going, bud? All right. Oh, he got an index card. Uh-oh, he's making me nervous now.
Ha!
All right.
Take a picture of a grocery list here.
All right, we're going to start with some questions from the group. Let me just post them into the comments real quick. Bear with me 1 sec. All right.
What's up, Tim?
Actually, you know what? Tim's our first comment. Waking up with answers by guest. That will sure wake me up. I like to see that. What's up, bud? Glad that you're here. All right, let's start with the first question here from Terrence W. Would you drop Dameon Pierce for David Montgomery?
I don't think so. I mean, the teams are probably pretty close as far as talent level. I think Houston's better than most people think. I think the Bears are a little bit worse. We talked about their defense before. And I think Khalil Herbert is going to surpass him. David Montgomery is more proven, a little bit better. I mean, go with your gut, whatever the bye weeks work out. But I'm not done with Dameon Pierce. And this week probably might not look that good for Pierce either, playing in Denver. But I would stay the course.
All right. Let's see. Next one here. In Superflex, Spencer with, in Superflex, I traded Trevor Lawrence and got A.J. Dillon. I have Mariota, Mayfield, Hurts, and Cousins along with Lawrence. Did I make out?
Yeah, I think so.
All right. I agree. I think A.J. Dillon, like you were mentioning in the recorded shows, he's gonna be the guy. I mean, Aaron Jones kind of they said that 1A, but the way he's running is just ridiculous right now. And I mean, it started at the end of last season too. All right, Michael C. with the question here: Michael Carter, Jeff Wilson Jr., or ATN?
All guys that are sharing, I think Carter is going to be closer to 50-50 today. ETN is going to be 50-50 again, like he was. And Wilson's going to be sharing with the two rookies, Mason, TDP. And I think, like I talked about in the game shows, if you're not watching those recorded videos, you really should start, whatever time you can find. I think when they get close, it's going to be pretty much Trey Lance running it in. They're going to showcase Lance as much as they can to the home fans because he didn't look good last week in the monsoon. I'm going to go with ETN. It's going to be a little bit of rain there, but I think that they're going to use him a little more on the ground. He had 2 chances for touchdowns last week. One was a bad throw. Maybe both were bad throws. But the Colts are missing, I think, Darius Leonard. so their defense is going to be a little more susceptible. And without Michael Pittman, they might have a chance with Matt Ryan on the road, as they talked about in the game shows. He's never good on the road. Get some short fields. I like ETN. I'd go him.
All right.
Oh, real quick, we talked about this too. I realized, thanks to you, that it's not Olave, it's Olave, right? And you talked about, I was calling him Algier. It's Algier. He's going to be playing today, so keep an eye out for him. I would pick up Tyler Algier. If he's sitting out there, pick him up, because if he goes off today, which it'll be a tough matchup, but if he goes off today, you're not going to be able to get him next week unless you're high in the waiver wire. The other one I learned, it's not Wandale Robinson, it's Wandale.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I wasn't expecting that, to be honest with you.
No, Wandale.
$1. I kind of like it better, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
All right. Dawn here. Love the new setup for you guys that you guys got going this year. Love all the videos going through all the games without questions. Quick and to the point. Love it.
Yeah.
You guys remember those recorded videos are out there for you. A lot of good information. A lot of questions probably could be answered right through there. Definitely remember, like us on obviously on Facebook, but always subscribe to that YouTube channel. Get those alerts so that you can get some of that great information.
Yes, please.
All right. You know what? This one I think is actually from Josue. I forgot to put his name in there. With Gabriel Davis news, again, injury. It seems like all over the place. And this being a Monday nighter, would you put Jeff Wilson Jr. as running back 2 and wait for news to flex either Davis or Sanders, or just start 3 running backs? His starters are Aaron Jones and Miles Sanders. Currently has Gabe Davis in the flex. Khalil Herbert, Jeff Wilson Jr., Eno Benjamin, and Kenneth Walker are on his bench.
Green Bay, it's the running quarterbacks, and it's the shifty, speedy backs. I'm just not sold on Jeff Wilson Jr. If you haven't figured that out this week, the Tuesday show, the recorded shows, I would probably flex Khalil Herbert and have a little Sunday night magic possibility. Because we don't know what's going to happen with Gabe Davis, late injury, and you'd have to wait all the way till tomorrow unless there's somebody on the waivers you could scoop for Buffalo or Tennessee, which Hassan Haskins might be, but I don't know who you drop. I'd probably just play Khalil Herbert. I mean, Jeff Wilson has the, what's it called? The, what's the word I'm looking for? Like everybody's on him. That's not how I roll. I would go with Khalil Herbert.
All right. We got a Jeremy swing going here. Jeremy had a few questions in a row. So Stevenson over Jacobs as a flex.
Yeah, I don't mind it at all. I think Jacobs will be able to run so long as they use him, which they should against Arizona. But I like Stevenson today against Pittsburgh. I think they got to use him more. They got to run the ball more. They got to have checkdowns more, especially with Max hurt back. I'm going to go with Stevenson. I don't mind that at all. You know, Jacobs will probably get a touchdown today, but I don't mind it at all.
I think they're going to need Stevenson. Like you had mentioned a few times, that James White role is important for New England. I think they realize that their run game is going to be their best part of their offense. Mac Jones is okay, mediocre at best, but it's just a situation where if they don't use Stevenson in that role, they're not going to win many games, man. I would agree with you. I'm going to go Stevenson over Jacobs. All right, Jeremy with another one here. Would it be crazy to start Wentz over Burrow? I actually like this question, man.
I think this would be the last week that you'd ever consider such an atrocity. I don't think it's crazy. I wouldn't do it personally. But I don't think it's crazy, and I don't think it's terrible at all. If you're feeling Wentz more than Burrow for whatever reasons, go ahead. This is probably the last week you'll ever have to do it or even consider it. So I wouldn't do it, but it's not crazy.
All right, Jeremy, with another one here. I need a 3 p.m. tight end in case Kittle doesn't play. Just to give a heads up, it seems like Kittle is more than likely not going to play. So he has Hurst, Bobby T, Komet, your boy, and Irv Smith.
Yeah, it would be either Komet or Irv Smith for me. I think Bobby T's out with Lazard back. I mean, he'll probably be a little involved, and I'm not feeling Hurst. And Jeremy, you want to bench Burrow, so I mean, there's no sense in pivoting to Hurst here. I would go Komet, but I think Irv Smith is a decent play as well. I do think that game's going to be high scoring. And then you get a Sunday Night Magic or a Monday Night Magic.
All right, guys. Remember, always like, comment, and share. We appreciate you all. Let's go on to Jeremy with another one here. I'm in a tough spot. Lazard may not play. It seems like he's actually expected to play now. My only other Sunday night, Monday option is Phillips, also questionable. Any decent long shot in those games?
Play Lazard.
Yeah, I'm playing Lazard 100%, man. I love what A-Rod said this week, too. He's like, listen, I'm going to put a lot of pressure on these wide receivers because I expect a lot of them, and I know they could actually do it. I mean, if that's not leadership at its finest, I mean, that know your role. I mean, that's what it kind of says, but it's just, again, the fact that he has trust in them and knowing that he's going to hold them at a higher caliber and stuff like that, it definitely makes it interesting to see what's going to happen in Green Bay. All right, Antonio F. with a question here. PPR flex spot, Pollard, Lazard, or Drake?
I'm guessing that is it must be Kenyon Drake since he's using last names. I really like Pollard, but I think I have to go Lazard here.
I think I'm a toss-up, man. I kind of like Pollard too. I think you even mentioned in the recorded shows that you think Pollard's going to be able to get that additional love. I'm kind of hoping in that additional love. I actually have a question between him and Penny right now. I'm kind of so back and forth, especially with that San Francisco defense and San Fran being home and being embarrassed last week. I like Lazard a lot. I think he's going to see a lot of targets. Pollard needs to be in the game script, though. If he's not, right. So I can see him getting a lot of checkdowns. I would actually probably go Pollard over Lazard in this one. All right. Robert R. with a question. Henderson or Sanders in the PPR flex spot?
I'm going to go with Sanders, Monday Night Magic. I think Cam Akers is going to get a bunch more burn today and be a lot more successful. You got to remember, they were going against Buffalo. Now they're going against Atlanta. So Henderson was pretty good, really good. And a lot of people love him all of a sudden. But we know what he is, and he has games like that. But if Akers gets more burn and Akers is successful, which I think he will be today, I'm going to go with Sanders. I know he's got a couple guys he's sharing with, but it's Monday night, and I think that game's going to be high scoring.
I'm
going to go with Sanders.
All right, yeah, I agree, man. I think Sanders is the way to go. Henderson's still, I think, a little fluky, and even though he talked down Akers last week, McVay, I think that was kind of a, hey, Akers, get your stuff together. We want to use you, but you got to have the right attitude. All right, this guy, Rob T, not sure who he is, but with Swift banged up and possibly only being put in situational plays, as what the coach said, I have Javonte, who I can sub him in for him. Who would you flex? Mooney, Akers, Elijah Moore, Drake London, or just risk it with Swift?
I think he'll be on a pitch count. It's a good matchup, but they got Jamal, who's more than serviceable. They also have Craig Reynolds. You remember from last year, was pretty good towards the end of the year. He's been in the league for a bunch of years, was at Washington. You put Javonte in. And then as far as the flex goes, I mean, just talked about Akers. Mooney's going to have Jair on him, but just so I could have some Sunday night magic, I'll probably go Mooney. I'm going to wait with Elijah Moore till Wilson comes back. I think that he'll do fine. Wilson will do fine. Davis will do fine. And they'll have to throw the ball a ton if they get down. But I think the Browns look to slow it down just a little. That game I kind of want to stay away. But it could be 13-7. It could be 31-30, the Jets and the Browns. So, and London's got a tough matchup as well. He's going to have a ton of volume. But I'll probably just go with Mooney. He's the best one out there, I think. And Sunday Night Magic is a thing. It's the thing. You have that one last chance to get points in a game where Green Bay's going to score points.
All right, I'll let Rob T know. All right. Spencer here with the question: is Penny the start over Zeke?
I'd probably go Zeke. They're going to rely on the run. He can catch passes. I don't like Penny's matchup too much, and still not trusting Geno. Listen, Penny looked good, but his stats didn't really show it. But he did look good. But I'm going to go with Zeke.
All right, I'm going to go with Zeke too. I'm actually in that Penny situation, like I had mentioned with Pollard. I think that you're right. They're going to have to move the ball through running. That takes the pressure off of Cooper Rush. Remember, guys, always like, comment, and share. We appreciate you all. Remember, we always go through the group questions first. That's that list. And then we go through the other questions here. So, Tim, good morning, gentlemen. Hello there, sir. Last 2 years have been like that. And yes, that too. I'm not sure what that goes.
Talking about there's no training. The guys don't participate in training camp.
Oh, gotcha.
Playing the games, and they wind up getting hurt early on, and that's why.
All right. He says he's doing well. My only guy I'm questioning is Evans. Talk about Evans, man. What are you thinking? He seems like he is going to play.
And he's never good against the Saints.
Yeah.
So if he's questionable to you and you have somebody better to put in there, I'd put somebody better in there. They're going to look to lock him down.
All right. Just trying to get going here.
I think it's Mike's question.
Mike is the next one. You're right. Would you guys play Nyheim Hines or Mark Ingram in a flex 14-man full PPR?
Yeah, I like Hines here, but Kamara's not going to play. Ingram's banged up. Rob had mentioned in the recorded shows, Tony Jones Jr. Then they got somebody else there. They elevated Latavius Murray. So I don't think it's going to be full go for Ingram. And then you also have to worry about Taysom Hill if they get close. Him just coming in the game and doing wildcat nonsense. So I don't think Ingram is a slam dunk. And then they got the tough matchup. It's the Bucks. I'm going to go with Hines here. I think they want to get Hines more involved. And against Jacksonville, a little bit in the rain today. It's not going to be a monsoon, but it will be raining. I'm going to go with Hines for the full point PPR, I think.
I agree. I think that, we were talking about it in the recorded shows. You're right. The weather could affect it, but we felt this was going to be a higher scoring game. These teams usually play each other pretty well. All right, Frank with a question here. Lazard versus Ayuk versus Thielen versus Mooney for a flex spot. I know I spoke off live. Maybe someone else would like to know as well. I agree, bud. Appreciate
Welcome, it. Frank. First time watching live, I think. Thank you for joining us. Comment. You have like or love or laugh or hate. I don't care. Do something. It boosts us into the algorithms. Lazard. I'm going Lazard. And if anybody else wants to chime in and help Frank or has the wonder, I said on Tuesday he's going to be a monster. He's the most trusted target. Green Bay's got to win this game. Lazard.
All right. Marty with the question here. Flex Lazard or Allen Robinson?
Yeah, and now this is where it gets tough. Because I do think Allen Robinson has a really big game today against Atlanta. I'm going to go with Lazard, though. I'm going to go with Lazard because you get the Sunday night magic, and he's not the only weapon. Because they got the two running backs, they got the rookies, they got the tight end, they got Watkins. Cobb is still there, even if he's wrapped in mummy wrap. But he's the most trusted option. And they are going to look to get Allen Robinson involved. I think he catches a deep ball today. Somehow Stafford's going to get it to him. Touchdown. But I think Lazard is your safer and just gives you that last chance. That Sunday night magic. So I'm going to go with Lazard, but if something in your gut is bubbling away and you want to go with Allen Robinson, I like him today as well.
All right. Welcome, Woody the Badger from YouTube. I like it, man. Make sure you subscribe to us. Ayuk or Julio Jones full PPR. I feel like Julio may be used as a decoy due to his injury.
Yeah, like I said before, they're going to lock down Evans. They always do. The Saints. He's banged up. Julio's banged up. That game's going to be really interesting because, like, what are you going to do? Everybody's hurt on Tampa Bay. Um,
Amazing.
but I do think the Niners look to showcase Lance, showcase his legs, showcase his arms. I know his arm. I know Ayuk can be used out of the backfield. And it's just a much better matchup. So I'm going to go with Ayuk here, Woody.
Yeah, I'm going to agree with him. I think Ayuk is actually going to get a lot of love. You saw a lot of love from Lance in that game last week, as far as, and it was torrential downpours. I could see that being more of now Ayuk is the guy that is not going to be the gadget play guy. Debo is going to be the gadget, and he's going to be the one that's going to be able to be the possession guy in that situation.
And especially
Julio,
Kittle's not going to play. Sorry to shut you
yeah, no, it's all right.
up, but Kittle's not going to play, so it just helps him even more this week.
All right. Antonio, what's up there, bud? You seem to be very sure that Lazard is playing. I mean, all reports are showing that he's going to be on the field. So,
Yeah. I mean, somebody stepped on his ankle, and it was just something, for whatever reason, they held him out. Maybe the flexibility or whatever was off in it. But yeah, he's going to play. He's gonna be good for you.
all right, guys, I'm going to say it constantly throughout the video. Remember to like, comment, and share. Remember, we're here live with you to be able to answer your questions. All right, next one here is Tim. 2 wide receiver and 1 flex PPR, Evans, DK, Cooks, Carter, Devonta Smith, or Damian Harris. I have an idea, just could always use that expert advice.
Listen, you got to play Devonta. Not only Monday Night Magic, I feel like that's getting a little repetitive today, but he's going to score a touchdown. To mention in the recorded videos, he's going to have a nice bounce back game. Devonta Smith, you put him in. And then it's between DK and Cooks for the second wide receiver for me. Cooks is just that automatic because I don't trust Geno Smith. I think I'm going to go with Devonta, DK, and Cooks. I think I'm going to go with all three. Damian Harris is, if you want to put him in the flex, because I always lean for a running back, maybe let's put Harris in the flex, Devonta, and let's go Cooks. I think DK is a good game, but let's go Cooks for the consistency, Devonta, and Harris in the flex.
Yeah, I'm kind of in between Michael Carter and Harris for the flex spot, to be honest with you. I think Michael Carter, I mean, the way they utilized him, I think they're going to take a game script from what Cleveland did last week and use it against them. It's going to be running. It's going to be a little bit of passing. And I think the 2 backs is kind of going to make the difference. Breece Hall does make me nervous this week a little bit, being a Michael Carter owner. But I would say go with guess.
Here's the point tipper for me, and maybe it'll be for you. There's no TJ Watt. And this defense for Pittsburgh without TJ Watt, it's a shell of itself. And Bill Belichick is going to have to utilize the run, as we talked about, all week long. So I think that's why we go Harris. And because Breece Hall, I think, is going to be used more, he was used a lot in the second half, looked really good. I like Carter, but I'm going to go with Harris. They're both in the same exact situation, but I'm going to go with Harris. He looked really good last week, and I think without TJ Watt, they're going to be able to run on him.
That makes sense. You're right. It was a tale of 2 halves last week. TJ Watt in the game was destroying it. I mean, he was literally in the backfield, I felt like, all the time. As soon as he went out, it changed the game script for them. All right. Tim was talking about the preseason. My bad, bud. Yes, Allen Lazard is expected to play. You are very welcome there, Frank. And he put done, and meaning that he liked it, he commented, and he shared. Make sure you guys are all doing the same. We appreciate you, bud. Michael joining here. Not sure if you already went over this or not. I just started watching. Michael Carter, Jeff Wilson. Let's go over that again. And then he added an additional question we'll go into.
Yeah, I went with ETN. I think that he was involved a ton last week. They came out and said that it's going to be pretty much an even split, which it almost sort of was anyways. He had 2 chances at touchdowns. There's going to be, a little bit of rain. I think they might get a short field or 2 because Matt Ryan, without his number 1 weapon on the road, probably will turn the ball over at least once or twice or have a few drives fall short and they get field position. So I like ETN. I'm not of the masses about Jeff Wilson. Michael, you should know this. I haven't been. I said pick up TDP on Tuesday, and Mason's there as well. I think they showcase Lance today. They showcase his arms. His arm. They showcase his legs. If they get close, Jeff Wilson's not going to be the goal line back for them. I don't think. We'll see. I could be wrong, but I'm going to go with ETN. As far as Damian Harris or Freiermuth looked really good last week. We've seen him look good and sort of disappear. I'm just going to go, and I do think Bill Belichick gives the Bill Belichick treatment to Deontay today. So Deontay owners, and I'm one of them, tread lightly, be worried. I am, which opens up things for Freiermuth. But because I think the Patriots look to slow it down just a little bit, in that one, I'm going to go with Harris.
I'm going to go opposite of you, Bud. I'm going to go Freiermuth just because I think him and Trubisky, again, they started utilizing him more in that fourth quarter overtime situation. The trust a little bit there. I just, it's such a weird situation just because you want all their wide receivers to do well. You could see Deontay Johnson doing well. You talked about Claypool doing well. Trubisky relied on the tight end. I mean, he had Jimmy. He had even when he was starting, I don't know if it was command. He had a couple tight ends that he kind of worked through, and it didn't matter who was on the field. The tight end seemed to be a position he was going for. Obviously, it's a different offense. It's a different way they move the ball. Damian Harris makes me nervous, man. Just because he does have Ramondre Stevenson there, who, if Belichick has shown, whoever has the hot hand, he goes with. All right. I have such a tough lineup. I have such a tough lineup. Honestly, hard to set, especially since most guys have such tough matchups. I feel like that's a lot this week. There is some really interesting games, especially if you have your, Seattle, Houston kind of players going against those defenses. I could agree with you, man. I'm actually in a tough situation with a lot of these as well.
That's why you're here.
All right, Marty, with the other one here. Taking out CeeDee Lamb, replaced with Allen Robinson, and flex position Lazard.
It's not a terrible move. I don't mind CeeDee with Cooper Rush, but I don't mind that at all. I don't mind it.
I'm kind of in agreement, kind of seeing where agreement. I don't even think that's a word. Agreement with you. I think they're going to try to force the ball at Allen Robinson this week. Cooper Kupp's going to get his love. Don't get me wrong, but they're going to not make the same mistake twice. Guys, remember, like, comment, share. All right. Next one here. Would love to put Lance in, but got to leave Lamar in. What are your thoughts on that?
Lamar's got a super tough matchup and didn't seem to want to use his legs last week. We get J.K. Dobbins maybe back. Now it's a question mark.
Yeah, it's like 50-50 the way they're saying it, man. He may be suited up, but
even so, the only thing he is instead of it being 3 running backs, it would be 4 running backs, really, for this team. I think that you stick with Lamar because I think Miami will be able to put up points on Baltimore, whereas I'm not so sure Seattle will be able to put up points or many points on the Niners. So that's why I would keep Lamar in and just hope for a more back and forth competitive game. I think Lance does really well today. I think he runs and throws all over Seattle. But the problem is, when it's all said and done, we're halfway through the third quarter, and it's a 20-point game. They don't have to push the envelope too much. And I don't think the Ravens get up by more than 10 on Miami.
I could see that happening. All right. Any more questions there, guys? Start posting them. Comment on here. I actually had another question.
Mm-hmm.
I'm kind of in a situation where I have Noah Fant as my starting tight end. OJ Howard's out there. I know you're not high on him. OJ Howard. I just said that. Who was the other guy? Oh, Logan Thomas is out there. Seemed very similar kind of roles. Logan Thomas did have some targets last week. I'm kind of like back and forth. I mean, I know you had mentioned Grayson in the videos as well. Is
Grant.
that somebody who I'm Granson? I'm sorry. Is that somebody I should be grabbing and starting over a Noah Fant? Do I take a chance? I mean, we saw Geno Smith literally went to all 3 tight ends last week. I'm not sure what to do, and I don't even have a backup tight end.
It's 3 tight ends essentially for the Colts. It's 3 tight ends essentially for the Seahawks, but I would rather use Granson. He was the most involved last week, second year. Matt Ryan likes his tight ends. He always has. They don't have their number one weapon in Pittman. This is probably a league that you're in with me, and I'm going to be pissed off that you grab Granson before I can. But I would go Granson. I think Logan Thomas would be your. I can't figure out the word I want to use today. Consensus. He would be your consensus choice because everybody loves him because he had a game last week. Got a great matchup. They got 2 stud wide receivers now, Dotson and Scary Terry. They got Samuel, who they're using like Debo. They got Gibson, who they're using the way he always should have been used. And they still have McKissick there. So they're not going to need Logan Thomas as much. I think the Colts might need Kylan Granson a little bit extra today. Doolin will do some things. Campbell will do some things. But they don't have their number one option who had like 15 targets last week in an amazing game in Pittman. So it's going to be guys like Hines and Kylan Granson and everybody else trying to pick up pace. Because I do think without Darius Leonard, the Jags will be able to score today. The Jags have beat them the last 6 times they've played or something like that. So I would go with Kylan Granson. It's a bit more of a long shot. It's definitely against the grain, but that's what Answers by Guess is. We're the inside scoop from outside the box. You see it on the bottom of your screen as I speak. So that's the way I would go, Rob.
All right. I appreciate the info, bud. I'm kind of just, I think I've been looking at them all since you mentioned them yesterday. I'm just kind of cycling through. Yeah, I'm just like, I'm not a Noah Fant fan. And I am, but I just don't think he's going to get the love. So I did have another question for a DFS lineup that I'm thinking about kind of going outside of the box because that's what we do. Doolin or Dortch?
Yeah. I mentioned it in the ABG chat that we have. I have this sinking feeling that Dortch is going to become a thing. And like I said, I just can't stomach it. I just can't bring myself to recommend him. But I have a feeling about him. It's similar to like the feeling that I had in the beginning. And this might make you lean that way with Terry McLaurin. I just couldn't wrap myself around him. And sure enough, I had that sinking feeling. And sure enough, he is what he is. I got that feeling with Dortch. But Doolin, Matt Ryan liked him a lot last week. He came in when Pierce was kind of not playing up to par, ended up getting hurt, was out, and Doolin got a bunch of targets. He's their number 2 today. Campbell will be their number 1. But Rob, I actually have Doolin in the DFS lineup today.
Okay.
So that tipped the scale for me because I just can't Dortch it.
Kyler was looking his way too, man. There was a lot of targets that way. I actually picked up Dortch in our Dynasty League just as a just in caser. I had an extra spot because Pierce ended up on the IR for me. So, all right, Michael, with the question here. Any Saints running backs other than Ingram going to see any work today with Kamara out? I had to start Jamal Williams in place of Kamara. I love the Jamal Williams start, to be honest with you. But what do you think?
Yeah, we mentioned it. I don't know, 10, 15 minutes ago or so, Michael. I think you're going to see all of them. Ingram's hurt too. So it's not going to be just Ingram. You're going to have Tony Jones Jr. They elevated Latavius Murray. They got somebody else there. I keep forgetting his name. They're going to do Wildcats with Taysom Hill. You know that. It's going against the Bucs defense, who's one of the best rush defense. Well, how do you beat them? You punch them in the face. Well, you run it up their gut. So there's an upside for Ingram, sure. But if they get close, you run the risk of Taysom Hill gets that touchdown. Or they throw a jump ball to Olave or Thomas or Juwan Johnson, who's a thing. again for real. And the thing about Jamal Williams is Swift is going to play. Swift is going to play. He's going to be on a pitch count, but it's not a slam dunk Jamal Williams. And they have Craig Reynolds, who we mentioned, that they can use as well. So is there another Saints RB other than Ingram that's going to see work? Yes, there are. There's also players that aren't running backs for the Saints that are going to see running work in Hill. So I want to say Ingram is safer than Jamal Williams, but I like the Jamal Williams play still. Just know that neither one of them are slam dunks. Neither one of them, I don't think, are going to carry the load.
All right. Let's go to the next one here. Carr or Tua? Good question.
I'm going to go with Carr. Going against the Cardinals, that defense doesn't look good, but I do think their offense steps up a little today. Carr has just a couple more weapons. They got the running back weapons. They have our guesstimator for week 2. And they got Devontae. They got Renfro. So I'm going to go with Carr. I think both games will be a back and forth, but Arizona's the worst defense. Carr's got better weapons. Got to go with Carr.
All right, guys. Remember, like, comment, and share for us. We all appreciate you. All right, next one here. Marty with the question. One more, guys. I have Dawson Knox and used week 1. So my tight end is Kittle. Lots of weapons on the Bills. You have mentioned other tight ends. Any of those maybe better than Knox this week?
I kind of like Knox to bounce back a little. But if you watch the preseason shows, Marty, I wasn't high on Knox this year in comparison to last year. I felt like there'd be quite a bit of regression. Some of that had to do with Gabe Davis. Some of it had to do with Crowder. Some of it had to do with just other weapons that they had. In other ways, I think their offense can be run. Like last year when Knox was really killing it, it was like just sort of old man Sanders and Diggs and Knox, and that was pretty much all they was doing. The running game wasn't really doing much at all. They fixed that. Singletary looks for real. I don't mind Knox, but I mean, we mentioned a couple tight ends. I don't know what's out there, but I think Komet has a nice bounce back. I think Kylan Granson has a good game today. They're going to need him. That's pretty much the only places I'd really look to go. I do think Irv Smith on Monday night, if somebody dropped him, has a pretty good game against the Eagles.
All right. Need a wide receiver 3. MT, Renfro, or Cooks. Also a flex. One of the guys that don't play a wide receiver 3, or I have Hunt, Hines, or Penny, half-point PPR scoring.
I'm going to flex Hunt. I'm going to stay in the well against the Jets for sure. And I do think Renfro bounced back a little bit as well. But I'm going to go with Cooks. I know it's a worse matchup. I think Denver is just going to destroy them on offense, and they're just going to have to throw Houston. So I'm going to go with Cooks and Hunt. Renfro would be my second choice, but I'm going to go with Cooks and Hunt.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's the way I would go. Hines is kind of close for me, but Hunt against the Jets defense. I mean, Jets defense looked pretty good in the first half. If the offense could actually do something, and that defense actually can get a rest, then he may, it may change some things. But yeah, I think you're right on that one, guys. All right, Henry or Patterson? Ooh, that's actually an interesting question. How do you bench Henry?
Yeah, it's tough. They're playing against the best defense in the league.
Yeah.
But it is Monday night. Algier is going to play. It's going to take a little off of Patterson. They got a tough matchup. I don't know if I could bench Henry. But Patterson might outscore him. Just because he's going to catch passes and run balls. I'm going to go with Henry. I'm just going to stick him in. I drafted him in the top 5. I'm going to keep Henry in. Just because they get close, he's getting it.
Yeah, I'm going to agree with you on you. It's going to be tough to bench Henry. I mean, that Buffalo's defense looked fantastic last week, but the Rams are so pissed. I think they're going to try to beat up on Atlanta. very much so. So, yeah, I think Henry's the better option there. Marty, I hope Kittle is back next week, but had Knox on my bench, used him week 1. Kittle, we kind of called to a certain extent. We said that he would be absolutely great in this offense. It's just, can he stay healthy? And we're already seeing that. I mean, health all around the league. We started the show that way. Injuries. It's literally everywhere. So, all right. Next one here. One more. DJ Moore or AJ Dillon in the flex.
I like them both this week. And I usually lean running back. So I have to go Dillon, but I like DJ Moore this week.
I'm going ebbs and flows. I'm going to go DJ Moore, actually. AJ Dillon against Chicago. I just don't think he's going to be needed as much. A-Rod, we know, beats up on Chicago. I think Lazard's going to be super involved, like we've been talking all game. DJ Moore had a down week. Everybody's so high on Robbie Anderson. I think DJ Moore would be my choice, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
All right. Should I pick up Browns D or stick with Panthers?
Pick up Browns D.
Yeah,
I would rather play against the Jets than the Giants at this point in time.
I totally agree with that. All right. I actually had another question for you as well. Would you go with Cincinnati defense, who I would have to pick up, and drop Dallas defense, or just stay with Dallas defense?
I'd rather go with Cincy defense.
Okay. I'm just I like Micah Parsons. I like the defense there, but you're right. I mean, the game script in my mind just keeps on telling me it's like they're going to be on the field a lot. Cincinnati's pissed, and the fact that they had so many turnovers and all that stuff last week, they kind of clear up some of that stuff this week. All right, I'm glad that we're thinking the same on there. All right. Welcome, Andre. All right, half-point PPR flex, Corey Davis, Russell Gage, or Paris Campbell, and why?
Well, Corey Davis is fine. He had his week last week. We called that. We said Corey Davis was going to have a good week a week ago today because veteran to veteran, he's going to look to him. But the thing is, as the game started to go on, he did look to Elijah Moore, and he started to look to Garrett Wilson even more. Gage, I'm not buying into it. They've got a bunch of guys that are better than him, even if they're injured. It's a very tough matchup. I'm going to go with Paris Campbell. The reason because he is the number 1 today for the Colts. Doolin is going to get love. He's going to be their number 2. Last week, they were number 3 and number 4. Pittman was 1. Pierce was 2. They're both out. You got Campbell at 1. You got Doolin at 2. Kylan Granson is going to be the third benefactor, and Nyheim Hines. I do think they're going to have to pass the ball because I do think that Jacksonville's going to score. There's going to be a little bit of rain today. Rain helps the wide receivers. We talk about that for over 5 seasons now. They know which way they're going. The defense does not. It's easier for them to make the cuts. So I like Paris Campbell today out of the 3. He has less competition in the easier matchup. That's why.
I'm going to agree with you. All right, my starters are now Lamar, Mixon, Eckler, Knox, Boswell, Dallas D. Going to wait on inactives to fix the wide receiver and flex positions. I don't know if that's a question, but
yeah, I mean, it looks fine. Dallas D, it is what it is. I mean, if there's nothing better out there, you got to roll with them and hope that Diggs and Parsons do something for you, and just hope that somehow they rally around and Cooper Rush does move the ball and keep the game relatively close and don't just give up bombs to Higgins is playing and big runs to Mixon and Chase and Boyd. So it is what it is. The lineup's fine. And like we talked about Knox a few seconds ago, if you're okay keeping him in, I think he has a bounce back game. Don't like him season long. If he has a big game, I'd look to move him.
All right. Frank, with another question here. Drop Ayuk or Thielen for Kenyon Drake.
Yeah, I know from looking at your team before that you are struggling for running backs. I'm definitely not dropping Ayuk. I have no interest in Adam Thielen at all this season, but I'm not dropping him for Drake because Dobbins will be back next week if he's not back this week. 2 weeks from now, Gus Edwards is going to be back. So now they're going to have Lamar who can run the ball. They're going to have Dobbins. They're going to have Davis. They're going to have Drake. They're going to have Edwards. And it's just, I don't want any part of the Ravens rushing attack. So I'm not dropping a wide receiver that I could use if I had to. I don't want to in Thielen, but you're not dropping Ayuk. He's a play for me today if you need him, but I don't think you do.
I'm going to agree. I talked about that Vikings offense. I know Thielen didn't have the great game. He still ended up with at least 5 receptions. I can't think off the top of my head. They're going to utilize him. Justin Jefferson, the game that he put up last week, I think Philly's going to target him. That's it. They're going to say, we're doubling this guy. We're not letting him beat us, which Osborne and Thielen, I think, are going to be the beneficiaries. And like you mentioned, Irv Smith was not in the game plan at all last week. I think this is going to be that Irv Smith game.
Which I don't know if Philly's going to be able to stop Justin Jefferson.
Yeah, I don't think so. You got to try to put some handcuffs on him a little bit. Maybe one stays open a little, but it's going to be we talked about it. It's going to be the game of the week. I really think that's going to be one of the ones to watch. I remember, guys, like, comment, and share. Subscribe on that YouTube channel. We appreciate you all. All right, let's go on here. No, I'm hoping for a TD from them. 8 points from Dallas would be good. I totally agree with you on that one, bud. Fant is my backup, and yes, I agree with Knox's answer.
Sounds good.
Right. Sweet. Andre, is it time to drop Randall Moore for another player or keep him? Great question.
Yeah, Rondale Moore. I mean, here's the thing. I'm not sure. Is it Andre? Let me know if I'm pronouncing it right. Is it Andre? I hope it is. Awesome name. I love the spelling of it. Because if it is Andre, that's so much cooler than without the I. Maybe that's because I don't know. But anyways, as we always talk about on the show, it's time to drop anybody if there's somebody better to pick up. You know what I mean? We can't just drop a guy because they're inactive. We can't just drop a guy because they suck. We have to have a better option out there. So if there's a better option out there, is it time to drop Rondale Moore? Yeah. If there's nothing else out there, if it's scrubs and scabs, then you might as well just keep him on your bench and hope he's active next week. Because when he is active, the only person standing in his way from any sort of productivity is Dortch. And I ain't buying into Dortch. Not yet. I'm sorry. I can't get past it. So Rondale Moore is worth a roster spot. You probably, and if you don't, you should have IR spots. So he's out. You put him in your IR spot and you pick somebody up. If you don't, but there's somebody out there that's glistening on the waiver wire, then yeah, it's time to drop Rondale Moore. But there's got to be a worthy substitute. We can't just get pissed off at players for not playing or not playing well because they made us sad or angry. Our feelings have to go away. This is fantasy. We got to, if there's something out there to get, then we can get it. If not, we got to sit.
Always remember too, Andre, if you want, post it to the group who you have out there sitting on, in free agency, and see if there's any better options that guests would be looking or considering. Definitely, and the group, they can give their opinion as well. All right, Antonio with the question here: Patterson or Connor?
I'm not a big Connor person, but I think Connor has a really nice day today. I'm going to go with Connor.
I think they're going to need Connor. That Rams defense makes me nervous, man. I really think they're going to have a really good game today, and just because of what happened last week. So I would agree with you on Connor as well. The last few years I've been antsy and have dropped and or traded guys for not playing good, taking a different approach this year and sticking with my guys until I have to let go.
Yeah, or until there's a better option. You can't do it out of spite. You can't just get pissed off at guys. You gotta wait it out. You gotta wait it out unless there's a better option. If there's a better option, then you make the move. But you can't just be like, this guy hasn't played in 2 weeks. He's sitting on my bench. I'm going to drop him. Okay, well, who are you picking up?
All right. Feelings on OJ Howard. I know you talked about it a little bit, but let's go over it again.
Yeah, I feel last week was fluky. but it was his first week in essentially it seems like 4 seasons.
Yeah.
But he had 2 targets, 2 receptions, 2 touchdowns. It's like the old value meal at McDonald's. Two for 222. Brevin Jordan's questionable, might not play. They're going to need him. You could take a flyer on him. I'm not buying into it, but if he continues this trend, then we have no choice. I do think Brevin Jordan is the best tight end there. He was on the field for the most snaps, ran the most routes, but if he's out today, it's a tough matchup in that. What the hell is it? Elevation? What's the word I'm looking for?
High elevation. Yep.
Yeah. So altitude.
Oh, okay. Elevation, altitude.
Right. But I feel like it's a little fluky. But dude, man, OJ Howard when he came into the league 2017, he was supposed to be the guy, and it just never got going. He could never stay healthy in Tampa, and he's only 27. So he's young. He's super young in tight end years because usually tight ends don't get going until they're 26, 27, 28 years old. I mean, you even go back and look at Travis Kelce. I think he was 26 before anybody even considered using him. 27, 28 in his first real huge year where he catapulted. So he's still young enough. And he's on a team that desperately needs targets. So he's fine if you got nothing better. Don't count on 2 touchdowns every week unless he starts to run more routes. You can't just play less than a dozen snaps, run a few routes, 6 routes, get 2 targets and 2 touchdowns. So you can't chase last week's point. We make that point all the time.
Brevin Jordan seems to be the play-by-play guy. When they got to the red zone, that's when OJ Howard kind of stepped up and kind of was utilized more. Definitely something to pay attention to again this week. All right, Josue, start Jeff Wilson as running back 2 and wait to see if Gabe Davis plays. It would be between Davis and Sanders for flex, both Monday games.
Yeah, I think we answered this.
Yeah, correct.
I'm going to go with Sanders. And then I think there was another option that I chose of yours.
I think it was Mooney, if I'm not mistaken.
The flex.
Oh, yeah. No. I could be confusing 2 different questions.
Like I've been seeing since Tuesday, I'm not buying into I'm not of the masses. I never am. And you've been with us long enough that you know that, Josue. Inside scoop from outside the box. I told everybody, don't follow the herd. Don't pay up for Jeff Wilson.
Khalil Herbert was the other one that you
Khalil Herbert was my answer. Yeah. I said grab TDP for cheap or after waivers clear. And you could just get them for free and keep your waiver priority. It's TDP and Mason are going to be there. Wilson as well, but they're going to showcase Lance's legs and his arm today. If they get close, I don't think it's going to be Wilson. I do think Trey Lance runs that in. So I'm not of the party. If push comes to shove, Tuesday show rolls around, and I got to come back and say, okay, I was wrong about Jeff Wilson, then so be it. But I'm not putting it out there for him today, even against this cake matchup of Seattle. I just think that they look to show the fans in San Francisco who saw a poop show last week in Chicago out of Trey Lance, and everybody's saying they made a mistake going to Trey Lance. We didn't make a mistake. Look at what he could do with his legs. Isn't he sexy? Look what he could do with his arms. Isn't he lovely? And I think that's what they're going to do today. So less Jeff Wilson than you might like. And for that, I'm going to go with Sanders, even though he's got a bunch of weapons. He's got the Monday Night Magic. Put him in the flex and put Khalil Herbert as your RB2 because I do think they're going to need him today. I think they like him better than Montgomery.
All right. I actually had another question for you. Tyler Lockett or Kenny Phillips?
Are you talking about Kyle Phillips?
Kyle Phillips. Sorry, that's who I meant. My bad.
I don't know if he's going to play, and that's the problem. He's questionable going in. It'd be a Monday night. It's the early Monday night. So, you put him in your lineup, you got to be prepared to grab Jamison Crowder, who might be out on waivers, or some ancillary Eagles or Minnesota player, and push comes to shove with that, I'd rather just go. Who would you say?
Lockett.
Yeah, I'd rather just go with Lockett and just hope that Geno throws a deep ball. Because that's pretty much his game.
Yeah, no, yeah, and that's what makes me worried. It's either hit or miss with him. You're right. Taking the risk with Kyle Phillips is risque, but I don't know. It seems like his target share last week was great, man. I mean, I know you mentioned Bobby Trees coming on a little bit, Traylon Burks and stuff like that, but I want to play. But you're right, that injury just keeps on going in my mind, man.
Yeah, I love Kyle Phillips. I've told everybody in Tuesday's show, I said Kyle Phillips is that dude. I said he's the rookie that's going to surprise us all and become a PPR monster. I said he's going to be this year's Renfro, even though going into last season, people knew who Renfro was because he wasn't a rookie. He just hadn't had a really solid season like that. I think that's going to be Kyle Phillips. If you're okay putting Kyle Phillips in based on any news that comes out before 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, put Kyle Phillips in, but just be ready to scoop somebody off the waiver wire like a Jamison Crowder, because he's probably the only one that's out there, because people love Isaiah McKenzie, so he's probably owned. There's nobody else you're going to be able to grab. If it's a flex position, you got a little more options, but if it's wide receiver, I mean, what are you going to do? KJ Osborne? I don't even know. Like, there's nobody else. Quez Watkins? Like, you're not going down that route. So it's either you go with Tyler Lockett, you hope for a deep ball, or you throw Phillips in, who I think will have a good game if he plays, and just fingers crossed that he does.
All right. Appreciate the help. And we're going to go with that. Welcome, man. To make sure you subscribe. Appreciate being here from YouTube. Full PPR, Kenyon Drake, Chase Edmonds, Mark Ingram, or DK. Pick 2.
It's so tough. The Dobbins thing probably isn't going to happen. Not that it really matters anyways. Drake's got a game that's what, against his old team, right? So his first team.
A revenge game.
And it's a tough. I think that there will be points scored. It's a kind of tough matchup. They're better in the secondary than they are up front. But Lamar, I feel like, is just going to run a little bit more today than he did last week. But the check down should be there for Kenyon. Chase Edmonds, another one that's in the backfield that I want absolutely no part of. Mark Ingram's coming in this game questionable. We talked about this earlier in the show. Hey. I don't think he's going to be a slam dunk because they have Tony Jones Jr. They elevated Latavius Murray. There's another guy there. I forget his name, but
Prentice.
Huh?
Prentice, I believe his name is.
I don't know. I'm going to go with DK. And then Ingram going against the Bucks. I don't like it either, even though that's the way. And you also have to worry about Taysom Hill. So I'm going to go actually with Drake and DK.
I agree with that. That's who I would go with. And then pick 2, Kenyon Drake. Kenyon Drake or Jeff Wilson in another league.
If you don't want to put all your eggs in Kenyon Drake's basket, then you would put Chase Edmonds over Drake above. Because I'm just not buying the Jeff Wilson narrative, not in this game, not with this matchup, not after last week's show against Chicago. I really feel like they want to showcase Lance. They don't want to run. And if they do run, it's not just Jeff Wilson. It's TDP. It's Mason. But if you go Drake and DK above, I'd go Wilson here. But really, it's a toss-up. Wilson probably will get you a little bit more. But I'm not a big fan of Jeff Wilson. So if you are, you obviously scooped him up, spent some waiver or fab capital on him, so you might as well use him there. I don't love it.
All right. I'm going to go with you. You have to. I don't think you can start Kenyon Drake in both. I agree with that statement.
Nope.
All right, Tim. Hold Sky Moore and thinking a halfway point of season, he'll catch on. I agree. He's this past 2 weeks. He's kind of been a little bit. You saw a little bit in week 1. You saw a little bit more in week 2.
It's roulette. That's the problem with Kansas City. You have 4 wide receivers that are pretty much all exactly the same. I mean, different levels of their career, but they're all pretty much exactly the same. And it's going to be roulette. And then you got Kelsey and the 2 other tight ends, and then every once in a while they're going to throw Justin Watson in there like they did on Thursday night, and he's going to catch a big touchdown. So it's great for Mahomes owners, and I think you're going to need an injury for MVS, Hardman, or Juju to really elevate Sky Moore. But you're talking week 8 or so. By then, geez, probably we couldn't even get through 2 weeks with all these injuries. So,
all right, remember, guys, like, comment, share, and subscribe. Hey, guess what, man? We actually have more people watching on YouTube than we do on Facebook right now. Mako J, as my wide receiver 2, do I do CeeDee Lamb, Bateman, or Devonta Smith? My wide receiver 1 is Justin Jefferson.
And Mako J, Devonta Smith is who I'm going with here, and it's probably the lowest consensus, but that's what we do at Answers by Guess with the inside scoop from outside the box. We're not going to just regurgitate what you're going to hear on any radio station or chat room or TV. Devonta Smith is going to have a bounce back game. And you have a chance at Monday Night Magic in a game that both Rob and I think is going to be back and forth and probably the best game of this entire week. And it's the last game of the entire week. It gives you that one last shot. Minnesota is going to look to stop A.J. Brown as best they can after what he did last week. I think Devonta has a really, really nice game. Bateman got bailed out by that touchdown late. CD's got what's going on with the QB situation. I think they're going to look to run as much as they can, short passes as much as they can. Yes, he can run over the middle, get those screens and those slants and whatnot. But I'm going Devonta Smith for a big game in the Monday Night Magic.
I'm going to agree with you on that one, bud. Welcome, Evan. Cortland Sutton or Christian Kirk? Full PPR. Great question.
Love them both because I think that the Broncos absolutely look to destroy today. But I kind of get, I know he was peppered at a ton of targets, but I kind of get a feeling, and I love Cortland, and I have since 2018 when he came in the league. I've been talking about him ever since on this show. This is our 6th season. I kind of get a feeling that Jerry Jeudy, and maybe rightly so, will surpass him as the number 1. But that doesn't mean anything for this week. I think you got a really good shot here, but since it's full PPR, I'm going Christian Kirk. I said 15 targets last week. He had 12. They're going against the Colts. The Colts are banged up a little on defense. No Darius Leonard. He is by far their best receiving option. And there's going to be a little bit of rain there today, and that's going to help the wide receivers. So I'm going Christian Kirk.
All right, I'm going to agree with you. I think Christian Kirk, the amount of love that he saw last week, it's just a good matchup, and we talked about that being a high-scoring game. Tim, I've seen after the game, Juju and Harmon both have questionable tags. Doesn't surprise me with Juju, to be honest with you.
Keep those fingers crossed, Tim.
All right, but I'm a top fan at Facebook. Does that mean something, right? Of course, Tim. We appreciate you, bud. Couldn't ask for better guys than you two. We really appreciate you watching and staying with us, man.
We try. Right. We're 2 guys in a basement. We do this for nothing. We're just trying to spill our knowledge or our estimations, our guesses, and
guesstimations.
We've got a pretty damn good track record. So if you're just joining us for the first time from Facebook or from YouTube, ask around. Join us on Facebook if you're on Facebook. Subscribe to us on YouTube since you're checking us out anyways. We put out videos on Tuesday. We put out videos on Saturday, breaking down all the games. They're all available. And then we do this show Sunday morning, and we do it for you. We get nothing out of it. So take our advice or leave it. It's there for you.
We love talking football, guys.
Yeah.
All right. Flex spot, CD, Jeff Wilson, or Ayuk, full point PPR.
Here is where I might go CD. I like Ayuk over this. Marcus, again, I'm regurgitating over and over. I'm not of the Jeff Wilson fan club. Was telling everybody to pivot and go with TDP. We'll see how that shakes out. I think that the Niners are going to showcase Trey Lance, his legs and his arm today. If they get close, I think it's Trey Lance or one of the other rookies, Mason or TDP. So I'm not feeling Jeff Wilson. Jeff Wilson has a huge injury risk as well at all times. He's like mini Mostert, right? Mini Breida even. You put these guys into the game, are they going to make it through? I'm going to go with CD because it's full point PPR, and I think I know Noah Brown had the nice game last week. It'd be interesting to see if they play Jalen Tolbert today. And we do like Zeke and Pollard to have a nice bounce back fantasy game in a relatively tough matchup, but a matchup where they're playing against one of the best offenses. They're going to have to move the ball. Because I'm going to go CD because I think they're throwing all game. And I don't think the Niners are going to have to throw all game. They're going to showcase Trey Lance, but I think that they'll be up by so much at a certain point in the third quarter that it probably won't matter. So I'm going to go with CD.
I agree. That full point PPR makes a difference, man. I think he could have a bunch of receptions. He may not have a ton of yards, but they'll be looking his way. All right, Mega with another one here. Henderson or ATN as my running back too.
Again, probably anti-consensus, but that's just how I roll, and it's not on purpose. So don't think I'm just trying to be the smartest guy in the room or the anti here. But I'm going to go ETN. I think that Akers is going to get more burn today. It's a much easier matchup. And you say, well, it's an easier matchup. Henderson was pretty good last week in a really tough matchup. Yeah, but Akers wasn't. And I think that they want to build some confidence with Akers, and what a better place to do it than against Atlanta. Because of Akers doing something extra today, and ETN, he almost had 2 touchdowns last week. Like, if he would have had better balls thrown to him and caught those balls, no one would be asking a question about ETN. And this is the problem that we fall into a lot of times with fantasy. We talked about it on the recorded breakdown shows. We have a lot of box score watchers and not enough people that watch the games or the highlights. If you watch the games or at least the highlights, you would have seen that ETN could have had 2 touchdowns, and James Robinson I love James Robinson. He just joined us for the first time and gave birth to the guy. Said it for anybody out there. Ask around. I did.
He did.
I love him. But James Robinson probably wouldn't have had 2 touchdowns. It would have been ETN. And no one would be asking a question, do I play ETN? Nobody. You'd be like, oh, ETN, look at that huge box score. Look at all those points. I'm going with him. No Darius Leonard for the Colts. They're going to be able to run up the middle a little bit extra, and he's going to catch those passes. There's going to be a little bit of rain out there today. I'm going with ETN.
All right. Next one here. Curtis Samuel or Bateman as my flex or ETN.
I go with ETN. I like Curtis Samuel to a degree. Just because it's a good matchup, and they're using him in the Debo role. And Bateman, I like as well. I own Bateman in 2 of my 6 leagues. And I think it'll be back and forth. I think it'll be utilized, but I always lean to the running back in the flex. And even though he's sharing, I'm just going to go ETN. I feel a big game for him today because it's basically Kirk and ETN and then J-Rob when you really got to punch it up the gut. And I'm not buying into anyone else. Zay Jones, Marvin Jones, no. Ingram, no. I don't want it. So I'm going ETN.
Curtis Samuel's a little interesting for me here. We talked about him on the recorded shows as far as being that Debo role, that Patterson role. Rivera might be getting it right finally on trying to figure out how to utilize him. I think you're right in getting ETN is the one that should be played in this situation. But Curtis Samuel, I'm somebody I'm paying really close attention to this week to kind of see, does he still have that same role this week? Do they look to his way to be able to do some of those reverses, some of the check downs and so on, especially with Gibson being there and some injuries in that backfield?
And much like the comment I made to Frank earlier, Frank Ross, he had asked, should I play Wentz over Burrow? And I said, it's not too crazy, but this might be the last time you think that. If you're a Wentz owner, if you're a Curtis Samuel owner, just based on his injury history, and they both go off today, I'd be looking to trade them because you're not going to get Jacksonville, then Detroit 2 weeks in a row ever again. And if they both have big games, they become even bigger trade chips. And I'd want somebody who has some positive injury history and a little more positive track record than a Carson Wentz. So just keep that in mind. If Samuel goes off, whether you start him, Mako J, or you bench him and he goes off, he's a trade piece for me. Because even if he ends up having a Debo-like season in the Debo-like role, 2 really big games in a row could get you something really nice back.
I like it. All right, Marcus. Thanks, guys. You're welcome, man. Always come and join us. Like we said, Tuesdays, it's answers with guests, halftime adjustments. We also have the recorded shows that we post by Friday night, Saturday morning, as well as these live Q&As. Tim, I appreciate you both. We appreciate you more, but a sports card collector. All right. And I definitely hope that some of these second-year guys do good. He's a Trevor Lawrence is the main guy I've pulled the most of.
Well, lucky you.
Yeah, Trevor Lawrence, if he has a good game today, man, I would start looking to move some of those lower base rookies if you have and get some cash, in my opinion.
I would too. Flip a couple, save a couple.
All right. Yes. Don't look like we have any more comments here. Do you want to go through some final thoughts?
Do you have an inactive list?
Oh, yeah. You know what? Did they come out? I'm pretty sure they must have. It's usually 11 o'clock. Give me 1 second here. Yeah, I have a few. I think these are more of the ones that we kind of knew about already.
All right, so nothing extra.
Yeah.
Tim, I feel like sometimes it's 11, sometimes it's 11:30, sometimes I get stuff at noon. And I feel like we're switching on. But you know what, Tim? You might know more than me. That's okay. We were hoping the show would kind of last until, and we got through. So thank you I'm glad that you and the other Facebook folks showed up. I love that the YouTubers are popping in. That's what we want. A big community.
All right. I have hit a couple base prisms. Nice. So that's what I'm hoping for. Those base prisms, man. It's funny. I have a Lamar that I've been just holding on to. I know this year was I hoping the contract year and so on and so forth. I don't have very much stock in Lamar. I wish I'd had more, but something I'm holding on to. 11:30. I think you're right. That's what I'm waiting on. Of course, it's my pleasure. All right. Guess let's give some final thoughts then, bud.
I mean, not to be too redundant in anything, but as we talked about in week 1, some things are going to happen that you didn't think were going to happen. We tried to talk you off the ledge so that you could react and not overreact. Week 2, by the end of this week, we're going to start to see a trend, but it's not a trend yet. Week 3, week 4, when we get to that point, we're going to know what's what. But we're not even going to know 100%. I mean, how often anybody that watches like SportsCenter or anything like that, or any of the football shows, NFL Live, this point in the season, next week, week 4, you have teams that are 2-1, 3-0, and they're like contender or pretender, right? I'm sure everybody's seen that. How many times you see a football team be 3-0, and then you look a few weeks later and they're 4-8, right? So it's not going to be till past week 4. So I don't think that we should start jumping ship. Even if somebody you thought was going to do well today doesn't do well and it's 2 weeks in a row. Can't jump ship just yet. But we can start to prep for that. And that's why you're here. Because we're going to give you the names, as we always do, that you're going to need to know. We give you the names of guys who might not be able to help you this week, but in the coming weeks. So YouTubers, if you're just joining us for the first time, we are the Inside Scoop from Outside the Box. We're not going to talk to you about the guys you know. This is going to be the place where you're going to find out the guys that you need to know before everybody else. And that's why we have such a hard time gaining followers on Facebook. Ask them. Nobody wants to share us. They flat out say, I'm not sharing you with my friends. Nobody else is going to get this information. So if you're here, kudos to you. Welcome and good luck today.
Totally agree. Got a couple more from Tim. He's going to post the inactives for us. Definitely appreciate that, bud. And then let's go Browns. Being a Jets fan, I'm going to go the opposite. I'm going to say let's go Jets, but I can kind of see where you're coming from.
Sure.
All right, guys. Remember, always look for those hashtag answers by guests and the new one, ABGFF. Like us on Facebook, subscribe on YouTube, like us on TikTok, go on Instagram, Twitter, Patreon. We are everywhere and anywhere you want to be. And as always, we thank you for watching.
See you Tuesday night. Answers with guests, halftime adjustments. Let's get it.
Deuces.